My submod for Undying Nephalim's mod, Hyrule Total War, is based on the old release of Hyrule Total War, released in December 2014. So I updated this mod since 2018. I did a lot of stuff on this mod in 2018, 2019 and in 2020. And then in 2021, I believe during March, from the middle of March until the last day of March, I updated a lot of strat-models in the game, and we're gonna take a look at them. We'll go to multiplayer, freeform campaign, and then we'll click on the freeform campaign. There are a bunch of factions we are gonna check. I've updated the mod again just now, today, but I haven't released this update, and I probably won't do it in a while, but I've updated the mod. I've increased the morale of the Lizalfos troops. They had so poor morale that they would break almost immediately, even when they had like 80 units in the unit. For example, their Helmasaur riders may have had 80 Helmasaur riders left, and still they break or broke. So I had to increase the morale for most of their units. And besides that, I believe I removed the speed mod for the Grenadiers of the Labrynna regime, so they won't be able to run as fast as the Soul Nurses of the Twilight faction anymore. Now they have normal human speed, like they should have. And then I believe I did some more changes. I believe I added a speed mod to the steam tank of Labrynna, so it's a bit faster. It was too slow in my opinion. Okay, but besides that, I've fixed all the issues with text when it comes to the strat-models. So in Warcraft Total War or Game of Thrones Total War, when I added strat-models in the expanded file, you had a line that says the faction name, and then it says family member, and that line was used for every unique hero strat model. For example, family member maybe Arthas Manatil, or family member Troll in Warcraft, or family member Robb Stark, for example, in Game of Thrones Total War. There were another line that said, I believe, said general instead of family member, and without adding the general lines in Warcraft and Game of Thrones Total War, the game would force me to first play a quick battle before I could start a campaign. So that's the reason why people had to start a quick battle first in Warcraft Total War, and also earlier in Game of Thrones Total War. And in Hyrule Total War, because it's based on scripts, we didn't have this issue, but I had the same error in the expanded file. But thanks to this mod being based on scripts, I could start the campaign just fine without playing a quick battle first or a custom battle. So that bug didn't happen here thanks to the script file. But there were another issue. The generals, when you started the game, the custom generals like Zelda or Link, they had an odd like description that said unlocalized character or something similar. It was an error message probably that said the number of the characters. For example, if it was number 1, the number 1 family member added, it would say number 1. If it was the number 2, it would say number 2. I've added the general lines for all the heroes of all the factions that I did. So during March 2021, from the middle of March, I believe March 12th, and until March 31st, I believe, I added new strat models for a bunch of factions, and those are the ones I fixed. We're gonna take a look at them now. I've also changed the scripts file for this video so that every hero will spawn in the first 1 to 5 turns. Otherwise, I believe the later heroes will spawn 50 turns into the campaign, 90 turns into the campaign, 135 turns into the campaign, or 151 turns into the campaign. But in this video they will spawn between turn 1 and turn 5. The reason they are not all spawning on turn 1 is because it will crash if too many spawn at once. The game can't handle that. So we'll check the Kingdom of Hyrule. I did a video of the top 20 fancy mods back in November that I uploaded during December. And one of the videos had this mod, Hyrule Total War Classic Ultimate. And in that video I showed off some of the Hylian heroes. I believe Fi, Link, Zelda 1, and the 2 additional Zelda 1s at the start of the game, and I believe Mercenary Farmer Ranger Malon and Sage of Shadows Impa might have been shown, I'm not sure. But none of the later heroes were shown. So we're gonna take a look at them now, and we're gonna check the others too. I've posted an article with strat-models back in July when I released the update, so if you have played the mod since the July 31st 2021 release, then you know about it already, but I wanted a video where I showed the new stuff from 2021. Didn't finish everything I wanted. I had planned to finish every faction in the game except the Suna and others that are using the 4.6 models because they were too heavy to easily be made into strat models. I believe when I used a 4.6 model, the game would crash on the loading screen and starting the campaign, and the model would need special treatment in order to lower the polygon vertex count, which I am able to do. I did that back in March 2021, and I did it for the Giant Majora hero and for some other Majora units and for a Fairy General. But it was a lot of tedious modding required. So I decided to not do any of the 4.6 models because they would require a similar amount of modding work. Well, if I do the old models, then for the most part they will be fast matter to do. They are not very demanding to the game, so you just follow a certain procedure and then you can easily add them to the game. The problem with Majora was that he was a giant model. Not all giants have a lot of vertex polygon counts, but the ones that were used in the trailers by Undying Nephalim, they had extra detail, and especially that Majora model and the Fairy General, because the Fairy General had a lot of extra gear, so it had to be rigged from scratch for that special armor to be on the body of the strat model. Okay, but anyway, so I did do some strat models last year that required rigging from scratch or a special tool to fix the polygon vertex count. I lowered it, but for the most part I avoided doing those types of models and did the ones that were lesser quality so that they wouldn't require me to lower the polygon count or rig them from scratch. So when I do the others, I believe there were a certain formula I could follow. A video by Calistonian on his YouTube channel that showed exactly how to do it. You take a battle model and then you follow a certain method, and then can easily turn the battle model into a strat model. One model can be done in, I believe, 10 minutes, 15 minutes maybe. But if they are extra detailed like that Fairy General, then it can take a day. So that depends on how much. If you need to rig them from scratch, it can take a day, like 8 to 13 hours. But if you follow that formula and do not have to rig them, then it's a matter of maybe 20 minutes, half an hour maybe for a model. And if you need to lower the polygon count, maybe it takes an hour maybe or so. But anyway, maybe it takes 2 hours if I have to lower the polygon count. Okay, so we will check the Kingdom of Hyrule, we will check the Gerudo, Gorons, Sora. So I didn't do the Kokiri, didn't do the Goma. We'll check the Odona province, Lanayur province, didn't do the Deka tribes. The smaller factions like the Deka tribes and the Goma, they were troublesome to do. Could do the bigger models and the normal models, but any models that were smaller will either need to be made into normal size. For example, the Kokiri might need to be the same size as a ordinary Hylian model on the map, or they will get look glitched. Because when I did, for example, the Fairy Queen, which is a smaller hero, similar in size to the Kokiri, then she was very glitched, so I had to use the normal size for her to not be glitched, which made her improportionally big on the map, but looked perfect, otherwise a little big. While with the giant models, for the most part they looked good, with the exception of the two-legged ones. I believe Moblin based ones like the River Sora or the Goron heroes, for example, they looked good, but when I tried, for example, Dark Onox, he ended up with half his body beneath the ground. Same with Veran of Labrynna. They had to lower the size of Veran, so she became the same size as Ambi and the other humans. If she was bigger, she would of course look more appropriate, but she would have half her body beneath the ground, so I choose to make her the same size as the others. I do that for any giant model that look bad otherwise. For those that look good, they will keep their original size. As for the Kokiri and the Deka tribes, they'll probably get normal size, so they won't be bugged. So some giant models will work fine and others will be bugged. Yes, I will have to use a smaller size for them. Smaller models, unfortunately, will always need to be normal size, otherwise they look glitched. And then normal humans, etc., they will be fine. Okay, we didn't do the Moblins, I haven't done the Dark Legion, I haven't done the Lyssalfos, I have done the Labrynna Shrimp, done the Fairies of Tarm, I have done the Stalfos, but the Stalfos unfortunately had an issue where after I had added, I believe, originally there were a skeleton soldier and a Skyte Lord general, and then Undying Nephalim had made a Necromancer general that were deactivated for some reason in the sub-mod that I reactivated. So we have 3 models made by Undying Nephalim for this faction, and then I added Lord Casso, the leader, this guy, and I added Dead Hand, one of the heroes, and then I made another one, Dark Onox, or Undead Onox actually, in this mod. But unfortunately, when I tried to add him, he replaced one of the others. And then I had to cut him, because for some reason I could use a model for the air and for the leader and for the general, but I couldn't. And I could add 2 new heroes, Lord Casso, no, 3 actually. Let's see, we had a skeleton soldier, and we had the Skyte Lord General, and then I could reactivate the Necromancer, so we have 1 custom there, and then I added the air and the leader, which was, I believe, Lord Casso is the leader, the air must be Dead Hand then. But for some reason any new models after that would replace the others. That didn't happen for any of the other factions, but for the Stalfos it did. So they didn't get Stalord or any other heroes like Undead Onox on the map, unfortunately. I did a model for Undead Onox, I believe. They didn't get him in the game, because the game wouldn't read him. Instead it would replace one of the others with the Dark Onox, or Undead Onox, but he looked kinda glitched. He had half his body beneath ground, so I decided to not use him and instead use Dead Hand and Lord Casso. Okay, I did the Shrika too. I haven't done Kingdom of Kana yet. I have done Church of Majora. I haven't done the Oocca yet. I did give the Horonians, I believe, 1 hero and 1 new general, so we'll take a look at them. Huskus Remnants did get new heroes on the map, both the general and their 2 heroes, Palagard and the Empress. The Oocca, they were made 2 models for them. I added a new general for them. They had a soldier, now they have a general. difference is that the general has leather armor and the soldier has no armor at all. Then they did get Princess Tylo, I believe, but unfortunately that was a 4.6 model, so she crashed when I tried to start the game with her. I didn't bother lower the model, so there is a model for Princess Tylo, this girl, the Toge, the leader of the Toge, but didn't bother lower the model vertex count, so she was never really working and isn't actually in the game. Okay, the Brosans, they got a new hero. They had a soldier and a general already. By Undying Nephalim, I added a new hero, this girl, Rosa the Harsh. Soon I didn't get any because all their heroes were 4.6 models. They would have the same problem as Princess Tylo of the Oocca. I did the River Sora, I did the Order of the Visrobe. Unfortunately, with the Order of the Visrobe, I used a officer model or the old Hylia model as their general because I thought it was cool, but I regret doing that. I want to use their actual general in battle as their models. I will probably remake their strat model for the general and use the same one they have in battle, but for now they have a different one on the map. I finished the entire faction. There were already some strat models by Undying Nephalim. I did one for Hylia, one for Sia the Mage, and for Karok and Nostrum, the two other heroes, and I did one for the general that I will replace with the actual general used in battle, which is a Visrobe character. While the general I used was the old Hylia model. Okay, the Forces of the Twilight, I didn't finish them, but I did give them a new general with a skin for both Sant and Midna. So there are two Twilight factions, one led by King Sant and one by Queen Midna, I believe, in the campaign. If you play as Queen Midna, the other faction will be led by Prince Sant, not King Sant. So King Sant and Prince Sant has different models in battle. But if you play, I believe, as Sant, and I think he is King Sant instead, at least when he spawns in the game, when you are not playing the faction, he will be King Sant. King Sant has a different model in use. Okay, so we'll take a look at their general too. I didn't finish the faction, so we have a few factions still to do. The Twilight factions, both of them need different heroes. The Midna faction needs a custom model on the map for the hero Una and for Queen Midna herself. So two heroes there. Then the Sant faction will need a hero for Prince Sant himself and King Sant. There will be two different models. And then they need Dark Onox, which is Undead Onox when he was still alive. So it's a different model than Undead Onox. And then they need one for, I believe, Lady Midi, general of King Sant, and they need one for the insect or shadow bloat, Olg, and Orgruk the dragon. So Sant has at least 5 heroes, and at least 2 of them are elephant giant units that will be a bit more annoying to do. But the Midna faction only has 2 heroes. One of them is an elephant hero, Una, but should be easy to do. She's a humanoid general. I don't think she will be problematic. Kukir, of course, need their heroes too. One of them is annoying to do, the Deku tree. But I did the mock tree of Labrynna, and it will be a similar hero. It worked fine, it's just that it requires more stuff down to it than the ordinary humanoid heroes, because the different model parts are named differently and they are more numerous, so it's a bit more complicated to sort them out in order to turn the model into a strat model. You need to change a bunch of stuff in the model files in MS3D before you can convert the model. With a normal model, you just delete, I believe, one file, and then you can follow a certain recipe and turn the model into strat model. But with the other models, of course, you still need to convert it a bunch of times and do a bunch of clicking on different buttons and such. But all in all, the model parts you just need to delete one part and then follow a certain formula, and then you can turn it into a strat model. But with the giants, they have different names, so you need to rename all the parts, and then you need to delete any part that is unnecessary to use, and then you need to find the specific parts that will make the legs look good when they move. And with some models it's too difficult. For example, King Dodongo and I believe the Sire of the Fairies, they have static legs because it was too difficult to make the legs look good when they move. They are on 4 legs. It was too difficult to make the legs look good, so I just made them static. That means they look good when they stand still, but they look bad when they move. With others like the Essence of Tarm or the Mockery of Labrynna, I managed to make the legs move like in battle, and they look actually pretty good. That required more modding work than ordinary models in the game. I'm turning them into strat models, and the Decatry will have the same problem. I believe most of their heroes, like Saria and Mido and Majora, they will be easy, but the Decatry will require some more stuff done to it. The Deku heroes will be easy to do. The Moblin heroes, they have at least 2 giants, 1 humanoid that will probably be resized and made smaller, otherwise he will have half his body beneath the ground. And then the demon form of Demise will be similar to the Decatry, so it will be a little bit more required to turn it into a strat model. And then they have Girahim 2, that is an elephant. And then I believe, but he will be as easy as Fee. I believe Fee was like an ordinary humanoid, despite being based on an elephant. Okay, and then the Doctor Legion, they have Bati Rat, which is another giant that will be annoying to do. But otherwise they have humanoids. Lysselfoss have, I believe, they have the turtle. Don't remember the name. Lord of Turtle Rock. I don't remember the name. But it's another giant elephant unit that will be similarly annoying to the Decatry. Or King Dodongo, more likely. And then they have the Dragon Volvegia. It's a 4.6 unit. So I will probably just use the same Volvegia model I used for the Gerudo. So I will have the Gerudo old Volvegia model. Tried with Gerudo on the map, and then they will have the 4.6 Dragon in battle. Okay, the Kingdom of Kana, they also have some giants, but they are humanoids. They will probably be easy to do, but they will have half their body beneath ground unless I make them smaller. So they will probably be smaller than in battle. And I believe the Oocca, they will get some new models. They will probably avoid any models from 4.6. But the old models, they will make strat models after both of them. Yeah. Okay, so that's the plans. The battle difficulty can be medium. Okay, but we will start now. Game. By the way, I have intro videos. I have the Hyrule Historia cinematic packages all installed, over 50 gigabyte, I believe, in size. I've added them to the latest release. So on my computer, for the CD version, I have the latest version of Hyrule Total War, but not with the recent changes I made today. Then on the Steam version, I have 3 versions of Hyrule. I have Hyrule Recent, which is the latest release by Undying Nephalim, 4.6 release, released in the summer of 2017. Then it's called Hyrule Recent, the Fuller. Then I have Hyrule Outdated, which is the one where I play a Gerudo, Labrynna and Majora campaign. So I still have that folder, so I can play those campaigns if I want to. It's outdated. It doesn't have some fixing by me. It doesn't have the nerf of the Oocca. It doesn't have the fix to the Horon-civilians not being recruitable in the campaign after they assimilate into a faction. And it doesn't have all the, I believe, 86 new strat models that I made in March 2021 and released in the more recent release that they had for the CD version. that they released on July 31st, 2021, which is this version, but now I made some changes today. So I have two versions of this version, one for the CD and one for the Steam version of the game, Medieval Total War Kingdoms, and the one for Steam has now been updated a bit more. So that's the situation. I have three versions of Hyrule Total War. This is the most up-to-date, but it still doesn't have new strat-models for the factions that we haven't clicked on here. Check the ones that have strat-models made. We will just end turn, the first turn, and so the second turn too, because we don't want to read all those event pictures. Here we have the video of Hyrule Total War. Don't need to watch it, but could be interruptions during loading screen. I have seen that in videos that my voice sometimes are interrupted in the loading screens. Okay, so we have an event picture, that's a good sign, then we know the scripts work. Defeat imminent Oocca. So in the first turn in this game, the entire map is empty, because everything in this game, almost everything, spawned through a script. So only some rebel areas will have units on the turn 1. I believe there were some exceptions, maybe Zelda, Cultist Zelda 3 for Majora is in the capital of the Majora faction, and maybe there are some rebels placed out. Otherwise the entire map should be empty. Maybe the Oocca too have some troops at the start, but most of the map will spawn on turn 2. That's also when we get a huge amount of events and such. So we'll just exit now. So we'll click end turn. Might need to click end turn for every faction, I forgot that. We'll do that. Gerudo or Majora province, Majora province, Labrynna regime, Fairies of Tarm, Undead Stalfos, Shrika assassins, Forces of the Twilight under Queen Midna, Forces of the Twilight under Prince Sant, Order of the Visrobe, River Sora, Zebrosian, Oocca, Huskus Remnants, Horonians, Church of Majora, Tarm, and the Majora faction got new agents. Others kept theirs, I believe. Okay, we'll just click and turn here too, as soon as possible, because we want to not be bothered by the event pictures. Yeah, stance change, care, but think we can accept it with Shriek and okay, accept. Okay. So we're soon done with this. And start checking the heroes. Okay, we're done with it. We're on turn 3. I believe it took until at least turn 4 or 5 before spawned. You can check everyone that has already spawned. Okay, so we still get a lot of event pictures. We will continue to click end turn until we do not get a lot of them. Take a while. It's fine. This is turn 3. Might need to go all the way to turn 5 before everyone is spawned anyway. Maybe even later for some factions, if they spawn later, like turn 7. I believe the Order of the Visro spawn on turn 5. Might be someone else spawning on turn 7. You'll see. River Sora maybe. This is the Freeform campaign where they spawn earlier. We believe the Highland heroes spawn on the historical date no matter what, but everyone else spawn earlier, I believe, if you do not play Hyrule Historia campaigns. Maybe the heroes still spawn on the original dates, but the factions spawn earlier. I'm not entirely sure they are. Know that the Hyrule Historia campaigns, locked or not, with locked alliance or not, they even if they have free alliances or locked alliances, doesn't matter. The Hyrule Historia campaigns follow Undying Nephalim's original spawn dates for both the heroes and the factions, while the Freeform campaigns they spawn the factions early, and probably the heroes too, but Hyrule has the same dates because they needed that. So not every Zelda spawn immediately. Okay. Now it's got spoiled there. Majora strat-model technique. Okay. Majora is the final faction to check out. We're on turn 4. So new general. Strongest faction is the Kingdom of Hyrule in the beginning of the game. Relations report doesn't matter. Relations report, yeah. Faction announcements doesn't matter. End of turn report. So on turn 4 in this campaign, I believe that the Kingdom of Hyrule has the strongest military at the start. They are the overall strongest faction. Gorons have the largest population. Labrynna province has the largest production. And the Oocca has the best financial situation. Now let's check the models of the Kingdom of Hyrule. So we have the old soldier model. So this model, the Highland Infantryman, was used by Undying Nephalim for all generals. If you had a general or a soldier, they would all look like this. They would use this model. If you had a hero, they would also use this model. If you have agents, then they would be different. So all the heroes, generals and soldiers use this model. I kept this model for the soldier. Now I have a new general. That I made in March 2021. It was followed with the release of July 31st, 2021. This is the new general. It's based on the general in battle. Highland general. So you have a different model for the actual family members, like this guy Sorrel. So all the soldiers, no matter what troop you use, will have this model still, and then the general will always have this model. So now they look like this if they are led by a general. Then you have the heroes. So we saw some heroes previously. We saw Zelda 1. He's using this model, same as in battle, the main Zelda 1 model. Then we have another Zelda 1 over here, using the same model. So Zelda has 3 different models in battle, but the same model on the map. You also have the Zelda over here, using this model. What is the difference? Yeah, this Zelda, I believe, do not have any blue stuff on. She doesn't have any armor. I believe she only has a dress, a white dress, and this one has a coat over her blue dress. She is more dressed than the other. And then the third one has the same look as the strat model. No coat, but has the blue dress. Okay, and so that's 2 models. Then we have the new Mercenary Malon. She was in the old game, but she has a new strat model that I previewed together with this Zelda in the video I made previously, where I ranked this mod as the 3rd best fantasy mod for Medieval Total War Kingdoms. Okay, so this is Malon the Farmer and Ranger Mercenary. He has a model too. Okay. And Impa might be bugged because we are playing as both Shrika and Impa, then she might be bugged. Okay, we'll see. But anyway, we have Zelda 4. She has a model here too. And I fixed, as you can see, the names. This one is named Zelda 1. This one is named Princess Zelda 1. White dress only the horse. And Zelda 1 the horse, and Princess Zelda 1 white dress only the horse. No ugly description this time. We have Malon here. Mercenary Farmer Ranger Malon. This one is named Princess Zelda 1 with the coat, the horse. Princess Zelda 1. Okay, and then we have Princess Zelda 4, or Ivy, which is 4 in Latin. And then we have this Zelda, Princess Zelda 2, both Latin and in normal letters. That's Zelda 2. And then we have Princess Zelda 3, just Princess Zelda 3. She was a bit more annoying to do. I believe she had more detail than the others. Okay. Then we have Princess Zelda 5, or V. So then it's the kid version, and she's young. This mod she is young. In the Great Sea expansion she is older, an adult. And I believe I have both models in battle, but on the map both of them will use this model because there was a limited number of strat models you could have. Each faction can have a soldier, and they can have I believe 10 unique models. You can have a soldier, a general, and 10 unique custom models. So I was forced to not use more than one Zelda 1 and not more than one Zelda 5. So all the Zelda 1s use the same model, the main one, and all the Zelda 5 use this, unfortunately. Okay, then we have some soldiers here. You can see that this version of Zelda, Zelda Hyrule Warriors bonus, it's a in battle it's a, I believe, a Patreon unique Princess Zelda 3 with a look from the game Hyrule Warriors that you got when you supported Undying Nephalim in 2014 or 2014 with money through Patreon for his work on Hyrule Total War. He worked on this mod back in the day, you know, between 2009 and 2014, and I supported him on Patreon in the fall of 2014, which gave me some benefits, like I got, for example, the Zelda 3 Majora model and the Zelda 3 Hyrule Warrior skin, and the skin for the, I believe, Highland Infantry, which is Hyrule Warriors based to a unique bodyguard for this Zelda. She has a unique bodyguard. She looks like this in battle. So she doesn't look like this on the map because she is still Zelda 3, and all the Zelda 3 except the Majora Zelda has the same model. So Zelda 1, there are 3 Zelda 1s with unique battle models, but the same strat model. There are 3 Zelda 5s it is no, I was wrong. There are two Zelda 5s. This one, this model on the map in both battle and on map, and then I believe there is the older one with this model on the map, but a different model in battle. Then we have Zelda 3 with the right model on the map, and her alternate skin has the same model on the map but a different model in battle. Okay, so that's why Zelda 3 will look the same on the map, just like Zelda 1 and Zelda 5. Then we have Hylian Titan Fee, or just Fee. They are like giant, but she's really small. She's smaller than an ordinary human, but she's like a giant. She can shoot a really powerful blast and has a lot of health and can hardly be killed by infantry and cavalry. You need range units to take her out, like artillery or mages or archers or something. Okay, we have Link, Hero of Time Link, or Hylian Hero of Time Link. And he was also troublesome. At first I managed to only add him without his sword and shield. Then I managed to add the shield but not the sword. Then finally I managed to add the shield and the sword. Okay, so we have a bunch of cool heroes. And not all of them will spawn the same. I believe all the Zelda ones are available to start. Fee is available to start. Hero of Time Link is available to start. You can hire Malon immediately at the start. And on turn 2 or 3 I believe that Impa Sage of Shadows spawns. She has spawned here. She is belonging to Shriekas. We'll take a look at her later. If you play the Hylian faction, she will spawn for Hyrule. But only if the player only plays as Hyrule. If the player plays as the Shrika faction, she will spawn for the Shrika instead. Okay, but she won't be a part of the AI Shrika. If you play as Hyrule, then she will be part of the Kingdom of Hyrule. If you play as anyone else than Hyrule, then she will be a part of the Shrika, even as the AI. Okay. Zelda 5 spawns, Zelda 2 I believe spawns on turn 50 something. Zelda 3 I believe spawn on turn 90 something. And Zelda 4 on turn 135. Or somewhere around there. No, I'm wrong. Forget what I just said. So Zelda 1, all the Zelda 1s are available to start. Together with soldiers, generals, Fee, and Hero of Time Link. And Malon can be hired immediately. On turn 2 or 3 you get Sage of Shadows Impa. Sage of Time Rauro is a Hylian hero. He is available immediately at the start too. So this is a Hylian hero, Sage of Time Rauro. And you get the other Zelda ones. But on turn 50 something you get this Zelda 2. The bow in battle. The bodyguard of, I believe, this Zelda 1 is the bodyguard of Shrika Assassins. This Zelda 1 is the bodyguard of Hyrulean Macemen, the same bodyguard as Rauro Sage of Time. And then I believe the third Zelda 1 has the main bodyguard of Castle Guards. Then we have Zelda 2, she has a bodyguard of Archer Knights, she's a bow unit. And we have Zelda 3, she spawns around turn 90, together with other Zelda 3, and the bonus character has the bodyguard of Hyrulean Knights, I believe, with the unique skin from Hyrule Warriors, unique for the Patreon thing. And then this one is the originally intended bodyguard. She is a Ironclad Elite's bodyguard, heavy infantry. And then Zelda 4, she probably has the same bodyguard of Hylian no, she has Hylian infantry, the worst possible bodyguard for the Kingdom of Hyrule. Ordinary soldiers. And then Malon has a bodyguard of I believe Odona horsemen that shoot arrows. She's a ranged unit. some heroes here too. Malkali, General Malkali, and General Clasic. I believe General Clasic is a unique model in battle, but he didn't get a unique model on the map because there were no room for it. He is future King Clasic and father of Zelda 5, I believe. Okay, we have Ariel, Great Sea Hero, girl. The bodyguard of Surveyors, a Great Sea unit, so on turn 151, I believe. We will return to that turn later. So Ariel is a unique Great Sea Hero that spawns for the Kingdom of Hyrule together with Tetralina Zelda 5, older version of Zelda 5, the bodyguard of Knights of New Hyrule. So I believe on turn 151, Zelda 5, this character spawns as a bodyguard of mounted Hyrulean Knights. For she spawns on turn 151, she is probably the latest hero that spawns in the campaign. And at the same time she spawns, Tetralina Zelda will spawn together with Ariel. I believe that Clasic and his soldiers, they spawn together with Zelda 3. So when Zelda 3 spawns on turn 91 or 90, I believe, something like that, then you get Zelda 3, you get the alternate Zelda 3, and you get General Clasic. In the Hyrule Historia campaign, you even get General Casso, who is Lord Casso, the leader of the undead Stalfos in this campaign. But anyway, so you get both Zelda 5s at the same time, and you get Ariel as a bonus. The reason Ariel doesn't have a unique model on the map is because there were no room for it. You'll probably be forced to remove Malon and Siege of Time, Siege of Shadows, Impa from the Kingdom of Hyrule on the map, because there is strat-models in use by the Subrotian underground entrance, and there is a strat-model in use by the Twilight Portal, which connects Hyrule with the Twilight Realm, and without the entries for those two models, they have no texture, so they look ugly. So I will probably need to replace Malon and Impa for the Kingdom of Hyrule on the map with the Subrotian entrance and the Twilight Portal, so they will look correct for the Kingdom of Hyrule. I will do that for a bunch of factions that have 10 models. I believe not many have 10. I believe Hyrule has 10. Maybe someone else. But yeah, I will need to remove Malon and Impa from this faction. It's not a big deal because Siege of Shadows, Impa will still spawn with her strat model if you play as the Shrika, or if you fight the Shrika, you will see that she has spawned for the Shrika faction. So if you play the Kingdom of Hyrule in a future update, she will probably have this general model like Ariel here, because I need that slot for the underground entrance. And then I believe that the same thing is true for the Malon character. I need that slot for the Twilight Portal, but Malon is a hero of the Odona province too, so if you play the Odona province you will get Malon as a strat model on the map. I think it's enough to have Malon and Impa for the Shrika and the Odona province. They don't need to be in the Kingdom of Hyrule. Yeah, it sucks that we have to remove 2 models, but that's because I need the slots for the 2 other models that I mentioned. We have the other models that I've shown here. Link, Fi, and all the Zeldas up to 5. 5 models are Zeldas, 1 model is Fi. That's 6 models. Then the entrance and the portal, that's 8 models. Then we have Siege of Time, Rauro, this guy, that's 9 models. And we have Hero of Time Link, that's 10 models. So I believe there were too many heroes for the Kingdom of Hyrule. I will be forced to remove Malon and Impa, and we couldn't have General Clasic or Ariel, so that sucked. On 100 excuse me, on turn 151 in the campaign, when you play normally, Zelda 5 will spawn together with Ariel and the other Zelda 5 and Tetralina Zelda, this one, and after that you can recruit the Great Sea units that will replace some of the other units. So for example, the Hyrulean Knights will be replaced by the Knights of New Hyrule in any level 5 barrack of any 5th tier settlement or 3rd tier settlement. I'm not sure. I believe it's 5th tier. So if you have the latest level of settlement and the latest level of barrack, you will be able to get the Knights of New Hyrule instead of the Hyrulean Knights after turn 151. And the Surveyors, the same unit that Hyrule has a bodyguard, will be used as a unit that replaces the Highland Crossbowmen, because it's a crossbow unit. It will replace the Highland Crossbowmen after turn 151 in a 5th level barrack. Okay, and then we have the, I believe there are the Knights of Red Lions, a mounted unit that will replace the Knights of the mounted Hyrulean Knights, and there are the Windfall Knights, Knights of Windfall, that will replace the Archer Knights. So Archer Knights are pretty much Hyrulean Knights with bows, same unit that is the bodyguard of Zelda 2, an elite unit of the early and mid game, and then in the late game you will not be able to recruit that unit. Instead you get the Knights of Windfall, which is a elite unit as well, using a very unique crossbow, an automated crossbow, which is more like a ballista in the form of a crossbow. Very, very powerful unit. That will replace the the Archer Knights, and then I believe there were like 4 units. No, there were the assault battalions to a light infantry unit that will replace the basic infantry, the swordsman recruits. Then there was a 5th or 6th unit too, the Knights of I believe the Knights of the Iron Triforce, but unfortunately they didn't have a perfect texture, so I removed them, so they are not in the game. Previously they replaced the Hyrulean Macemen. I might return them. They still look good to some degree. I believe that we didn't have the original texture, so certain parts looked worse than on the picture for the video, for the unit, but still is good looking enough to be in the game, I think. I might remove something else. We are using the 500 we are using 500 units in the game, so we have reached the limit. We can't add any more units. That's why it got removed. I might return the model, because I like the idea of replacing all the old models with new, all the old Hyrulean Knights like models. Currently the Hyrulean Macemen are still in the game, so they might be replaced by the Knights of the Iron Triforce in the future, but yeah, that unit is not looking perfect, but it's probably still good enough to be in the game. Okay, so we have checked the heroes, and the Great Sea units are available after turn 151 when Ireland, Tetralina, Zelda and Zelda 5 spawns. Okay, so these are the heroes of the Kingdom of Hyrule. Check the... Okay, there are no info otherwise. Let's end the turn. Then we have the Gerudo. So we got some info here about general spawning. Okay, here we have some generals too. So if you conquer the forest temple as the Gerudo, which is over in the Kokiri forest, then you get Phantom Ganon in both Battleland on the map. He has a bodyguard of mounted marauders, but you need to conquer the forest temple as the Gerudo to get him. So that model is similar to Ganondorf, I believe. It has a skeleton helmet. That's the only difference on the map. We have Ganondorf here. So Ganondorf, and we have here we have King of Evil Ganondorf, also known as Ganondorf. We have Daikon or Vegan Sage Daikon, and both of them spawn at the same time at turn 89, I believe. It's pretty late game, and this model will be used on the map for the Norwegian hero, Ursot, Mother of Tyrants, for the Lysselfoss later as well. So I've used the same, so I don't have to rig or do the much more advanced dragon on the map, because it's a 4.6 model. Way too big and heavy for the map, unless a lot of extensive work is done to lower the polygon count and such. It's better to just use these models. It will shred this model on the map and have the other dragon model in battle. So Ganondorf, King of Evil. We have Phantom Ganon 2 on the map. If you take the Forest Temple, as I said, and the only difference is that he has the skeleton mask on that he had in Ocarina of Time, and also in battle he had, as I said, the Mounted Marauders bodyguard, while this Ganondorf has the original bodyguard intended by Undying Nephalim, the Vagrudanan bodyguard, black like assassins or ninjas, I believe assassins. Okay, then we have some soldiers. This is the original soldier model, the Gerudo, female marauder. She was used for the soldiers, the generals, and the heroes. Of course, I've added all the custom heroes as unique generals. You can move the soldiers here. We have a general here. This is the generic general from battles. Now added as their general on the map too. Really cool general. Then we have here's another one of them. No, this is actually it's a unit actually, that's why it's using the original body. I mean model. Okay, then we have Twinroa, the fusion between the witches. She has a unique model. Of course she is bigger than an ordinary unit in battle, but on the map she has the same size to not look glitched, otherwise she would have her feet below ground. Actually did it in my first tries. I decided to use the same size for her as other models to make her look the best possible. Okay, so if you take an area down here named Hasanador for Gerudo area, and if you still hold it when Twinroa is killed, then the witch, I believe, Kotak, I believe, will spawn. She's a wind witch with blue hair. This is a fusion between that witch and another witch named Koma. In the beginning you play as Twinroa. She's the faction leader because Ganondorf spawns late game. So Twinroa is the leader of the faction. This is the soldier, this is the general. Ganondorf and his ally Ulvegan Daken, they spawn late game. So this is the leader, and when she dies, if you hold Hasanadorf, when she dies you get the Windwitch Kotak instead. One turn later. And the reason you don't get Koma is because in the battles the unit has both of them. Koma is an officer and Kotak may be the officer, and I'm not sure. One of them is the officer and one is a general. So they are in the same unit, that's why only one of them has a strat model. Okay, and if you do not hold Hasanadorf when she dies, then Kotak will not spawn. But if you take it and Twinroa is dead, then she will spawn. Same for the AI, of course. Okay, we have also this general Runeka, or Runeka the Marauder. She's a bodyguard of Marauders, Mounted Marauders. Okay, so she has the same model in battle as on the map. She spawns a few turns after Ganondorf and Daken. She is a late game hero for the Gerudo. And then we have Church of Spirits, Naburo. Church of Spirits, Naburo. She has a unique model resized to fit the map. She was bigger previously with her feet below ground. Now she looks good. Has looked good since late March, I believe, 2021. It was in the release of July 31st, 2021. I hadn't released the new strat models before July 31st last year. Okay, so Nabru has a strat model too. So I've added models for the general and all the heroes of the Gerudo faction. Okay. This is like their giant unit, not that big but still pretty cool. Bigger than the ordinary and different from the ordinary humanoid heroes. Okay, and he's will be again in battle too. Okay, well the Gorons, they are pretty cool. Of course they have their custom heroes done and they have their generals. Here we have an army, it's the original model used by all their soldiers, generals and heroes before I made strat models. And we have a Goron general, Bandogoro. He is not a custom hero, he is a generic general. He's a bit bigger than the Goron army. It looks pretty cool, even with static arms, because otherwise they would stretch and look bugged. I believe the neck is static too, because it would look slightly glitched otherwise, but yeah. I was pretty happy with this one. He's bigger than an ordinary soldier. These guys look like midgets compared to this guy. This is used by all the generals. When you have soldiers on the map, they use the old model by Undying Nephalim. Then you, by the way, all the battle models are by Undying Nephilims, but I made strat models based on the. So I took the battle models and then turned them into strat models. So pretty much they are based on his battle models, but I made the strat models, except the soldier models and some of the agents, of course, that were already made by him. So this model is old and this is new from last year. And a general is leading the army, they look like this. So a big difference for the Gorons, they feel huge. This is the generic general. Then we have, of course, Labrynna, the leader, Sage of Fire. He's the Sage of Fire too. Took that spot from Daken, Devolvagian. He has the same size as the other one, just an older. That's Goron. Maybe he's slightly bigger. Or they are the same size, but he's standing on a higher ground here. Okay, and there is one other guy, Dangoro. He's slightly different. His neck stretched more, he had to make it static. Maybe the other one doesn't have a static neck. But this is General Dangoro, the main commander of the Goron armies. He has his own model too, of course. Looks badass. Looks badass in the cinematics by Undying Nephalim too. He is slightly smaller than the others because his model is ended up a bit smaller on the map. Yeah, he's similar kind of general. Cool hero, Gorons. Then we have the real Vigoron. He's really huge. Of course his arms are a little bit stretching. There was no helping there. Previously he would have half his body below ground. Now he looks decent in my opinion. But he doesn't look too good when he moves, but if he do not have walking on it isn't really visible. Okay, so the bigger on guy is a lot taller than the others. In an older version he was even huge, even more huge, but I didn't want him to glitch with the arms. I think he looks pretty decent, despite his size. Any issue with the arms is because of his size, of course. Okay, so he is pretty huge. Here we have some freak heroes, we'll take a look at them later. Here we have the heroes of the Gorons, and then if you take I believe the Dongo's Cavern, you get King Rodongo as well, and he has a model on the map with static legs, otherwise it would look bad when he moved. If we take it now, he would certainly have his own model. Maybe we should take it. He's in the wildlife faction at the start and needs to be defeated. You need to conquer the area and kill King Rodongo, and when he's dead he will spawn the next turn for the Gorons as a hero. Have a model on both the map and in battle. He doesn't have a model for the wildlife yet. I will probably add that model for the wildlife later. Update. I didn't prioritize the wildlife. They have one area on the map and some other creatures in the Majora province lands, but they do not have any recruitment. They are not really a playable faction. They can't be played really by the AI either. They are where they start and they fight you if you attack, but can't really do much. Okay, so the Gorons, they have some really big heroes here. Okay, we have the Sora's domain, or the Sora in this mod. 4.6 version, they are called the Sora's domain, I believe. Okay, let's just exit these. Here we have the Soldier, the one that was used originally by Undying Nephalim, this model, used in the older. They were in the older version where I play Labrynna, Gerudo and Majora in a campaign. I believe they have 3 different campaigns going. Everyone used their soldier models for all their general soldiers and heroes. Here is their new general. This is a new Sora general. It's a female model, while the soldier is a male. Same model as in battle. Looking very good in my opinion. So a really good model for every general of the Sora. Then we have 2 late game heroes. We have Tilara, or Priestess Tilara. Can move the Priestess. Okay, so this is Priestess Tilara of the Sora. Good model 2, she spawns late game. We have Advisor, Celine, or Celine. Advisor Celine of the Sora, the unique model 2. Okay, then we have Princess Ruto, of course. I did a mistake there. Yeah, we have Princess Ruto here. Her own model 2. So every hero of the Sora been done, and their general. They didn't get any new strat models, same with the Gorons and same with the Gerudo. They have the old strat models they used in the earlier versions, same with Hyrule. They didn't add any new agents for any of these factions. The generals, the heroes, and yeah, that's I kept the old soldier and made new generals and heroes for most factions. Of those I am gonna preview here. We also have King Farkos of the Sora. His model is bigger. Same size as the River Sora general. The only one of this size in the Sora faction. A static arm here because it looked glitched otherwise, but this arm is not static. I believe it can. It looks good when it attacks. Just that this arm needed to be static, otherwise it would stretch. They have a giant king on the map now as well. Giant model for the king there, King Farkos, the Sora. Then we have the Oocca province. They hire Ashe the mercenary, they will get her model on the map and in battle. They hire Malon the mercenary, they will get her model on the map and in battle. Malon can be hired in the same area, close to London Ranch, so if you want her as Oocca, need to take a general over there and hire her. If you want Ashe the mercenary, an Oocca girl that has taken up work in Labrynna. If you want her, you need to go to the area next to the area of Symmetry, I believe, and a Labrynnian city, and hire her over there. She will have a model in both battle and on the map. And the Odona province, they have this soldier model. It's the old model by Undying Nephalim. And they have a new model here for Russell the Swordsman that I made out of the battle model. The first hero. Okay, then they have a model for the late game general, Anara, the ranger. She has her own model now on the map. And in battle, I believe she has a bodyguard of rangers in battle, and this guy has a bodyguard of Odonian footmen or swordsmen, something like that. Then we have this girl, based on a deviant art, I believe. Nep made her based on a deviant art, fan art. I made a strat model of the hero. She was in battle already, and I made a strat model. She is not a known character. I named her the peasant girl. She has a bodyguard of peasant archers, I believe. She's a fan-made character. I guess Undying Nephalim liked the art, so he made a model of her for his mod. She's a fan-made mod, Hyrule Total War. Then I did a strat model. Converted the battle model into strat model. Okay, we have this guy, an ordinary general, the Odona province. You can see that the soldier has no horns, but the general has horns. The soldier has more detail. So the general has a shield, the soldier has no shield. So yeah, the soldier is more detailed and more armored and such. We have a new soldier. This is the general. When they lead the army, they will look like this. And the heroes, Sume the mercenary, the peasant girl, Russell the swordsman, and Anara the ranger, the unique heroes. And if they hire Malon or Ashay, they will get their heroes on the map too. And this faction is gonna keep Malon, even if Hyrule will lose Malon, because they have slots for the underground entrance and the Twilight portal without having to remove anyone. Okay, then we have Major Bow, of course, the leader of the faction. Fat leader of the faction, the unique model. Okay, he has a bodyguard of Goat Lords, I believe. Battle. Should be one other hero of the Runa province. So we have Ilia, the horse breeder. Or horse racer. She's racing with horses, breeding horses for that competition. Okay, so she's a bodyguard of, I believe, Odona horseman, I believe. It's a range unit in this mod. With both mounted horse archer unit. So that's the Odona province. We have the Lanayuru province, province of the Sora. They have the old soldier model, and we can see here, not the best model, kept it. And they have the new Prince Rallis, his own model. You can see that it's a bit glitched on the feet there, because I kept him as small. Unlike with the Fairy Queen, I did decide to keep his small size, and that's why his feet are slightly glitched. With the Fairy Queen and his arm here, if I had made him the same size as the soldier here, he would have looked perfect. I made a different decision for the Fairy Queen. That's because I made her later. I believe I did the fairies last for this mod. So I did this earlier. If I had done it now, I would have made him the same size as the others. Maybe I will redo him, we'll see. Okay, I did the Warcraft strat models after I did the Hyrule ones. So all of the Hyrule ones are older than the Warcraft ones. But I released the Warcraft ones that I did the 86 models for Hyrule strat models, and I did the 54 for Warcraft Total War. They released all of the Warcraft ones in April and May 2021. So they were released months before the the Hyrule models. That's because I planned on original to finish all the factions in the game before releasing the update, but then I changed my mind because I didn't know when I would continue. Okay. Then we have soldiers here. We have a general. So this is the new general of the Majora. You see that soldier is, I don't know if it's a male, but probably. Well, the general is certainly a female. Soldier might be a female too. The general has completely different gear and a helmet and a cape and such, much more detailed. They got a generic general, they got a general strat model for their Prince Rallis. And then we have area or general area here. The Majora province. She has her own model now. We have Larto, which I believe area spawns a few turns in. The generals and the soldiers are available immediately. Larto, there are two Larto. This is Queen Larto, the good. And this is Larto. They have the same model on the map, but I believe Queen Larto spawns late game together with Prince Rallis, while this Larto spawns in the middle of the game. They don't spawn at the same time. This is ordinary Larto. She looks like this in battle too. Then we have Queen Larto with a completely different model in battle, and the bodyguard of Aquamarines. We're now using the upgraded model from Great Sea, by the way, which is a mix between Majora and Sora Aquamarines. But I believe that on the map they have the same model, just like with Zelda 1, Zelda 3 and Zelda 5. But in battle they have different models. Soldiers, of course, turn into the heroes when led by them, or into the general when led by the general. Then we have the Queen, Rutala. She has her own model as well. Always liked the model in battle of Queen Rutala. Okay, so she looks the same in battle. So the general and the heroes were done. Didn't change the agents. Then we have the Labrynna regime. So the Labrynna regime, we have the old soldier, which is a female soldier. You can see the boobs and that it is a female. Didn't realize that until later. You have a female soldier by Undying Nephalim. And they have a general here that is new that I made for the faction. Male general. Because most, I believe, in battle they are either females or males. I tried doing a female. She ended up looking fat. There is such a model in the files, so there exists an unused female general model for Labrynna and a used male general. So I did one for both the female and the male. That's because I started with the female, where she looked good in battle, and then she ended up looking fat on the map, so I changed her into a male. But I still kept the female model, so if you want a female general for Labrynna, you can just check the folder model strat, I believe, inside the data folder of the mod, the Hyrule mod. And then you need to just find the general model in use and rename it something else and use that name for the female, and the female model will spawn instead. But yeah, the model got kind of compressed, so her stomach looked fat. In battle she doesn't look fat, but on the map she did look fat. I thought it fit better with a male, and this model also looks fat on the map, just like this one, but it looks worse with the golden armor, I believe, than with this model. And therefore I thought it fit the male better than the female. Okay, so the soldier is old, and then they have the new general. So every army of Labrynna led by a general will now look like this. It's like in battle. Then we have the late game hero, Ralph the engineer. So he spawns late game for the Labrynna regime. After he spawns, you get to recruit. I believe you get this hero, Captain Lindbeck of New Hyrule, who originated from Labrynna. So he was added in this mod as a hero for Labrynna. He spawns together with Ralph the engineer in the late game as a bodyguard of Labrynnian pistolmen. And after he is spawned, you can recruit the pistolmen in the game. And unlike the gunners, they are weaker in the sense they take less damage. They are stronger in a sense because they can fire everyone at once and don't need to reload. They are more effective in that sense. So you get two heroes late game with Labrynna, and both of them are males. And they have strat-models unique to them. This is a great C model. The only reason Ariel didn't get one was because I didn't have room for her, and the reason Queen Laruto didn't get one was because I didn't think it was worth it to add another Laruto. We had one already. Okay, then we have Rear and the Cunning, advisor of Queen Ambi. She used to be bigger in my earlier attempts, just like Queen Roa. But then half her body would be below ground, so I changed her into normal size. She looks good, but she is the same size as other heroes. Maybe even looks a bit small when resized to their size, but at least she looks good. Okay, and we have Queen Ambi herself. So this is Queen Ambi, the Labrynna regime. On the map she has two swords. And then we need to move a general. Okay, we'll move Market Tree of Labrynna over here. You can see the Market Tree of Labrynna is huge. He moves kinda decent on the map. One of his legs stretches a bit, but look at the model. In the past it used to be, it had a wrong texture. I fixed that, and also it was too big, so it had parts of its legs beneath ground and parts of the model here. I believe all of this was beneath ground. Now it looks good, but the legs stretch a bit when it walks. So the decoratry of the computer will probably look the same as this one. I'm happy with it. It looks a bit glitched when it attacks, but otherwise I think it looked good when it walked, for the map at least. Okay, so we have this general. We can hire Oocca here. We need to move closer to symmetry first in order to hire. We'll take a look at these guys again later, because we want to see Ashley too, but I forgot. Okay, so they have this cool guy and hero. It was more complicated to do than the others. The others are normal size. Of course, Varen is normally 2 times as big as a normal soldier, but in battle she is 2 times as big, but or tall. But they had to have the same size, otherwise she looked bad. But the 3 is one of the better looking giants on the map, so I'm happy with it. Okay, the Fairies of Tarm. We have the soldier here. It's used by the original mod, of course. I believe I will do a specific video on the fairies, because I changed every agent too. The only agent I didn't add was I believe the assassin. I have plans thought out for that too. I believe I would use the Phantoms of Tarm unit for an assassin. I didn't do them because I don't know if I will have the free slots for that. You know, there is a limit to how many strat-models you can have on the map. I freed up enough space to be able to add about 50 more, but I'm not sure that will be enough for every faction. Still have the Deku scrubs, the Sand faction, the Midna faction, the Moblins, the Oocca, Goma, the Kokiri, and the Darknet Legion, Lisselfoss, maybe someone else too. So there are a bunch of factions that still need strat models. I didn't want to make the assassin before knowing if there would be space left, but if there are, we will add a Phantom of Tarm assassin to this faction too. But I did add new agents for all of these, because I didn't like the 4.6 ones in this mod. I wanted them to fit with the rest of the faction. Okay, so the soldiers are the same as in the past. Then we have generals and others. We'll check the Saya. She is a giant four-legged creature. She looks kinda bad when she walks. The reason is because she is on 4 legs. I believe she is moving her back legs, but the frontal legs are... She has 6 legs. The ones at the front are static, because otherwise they would stretch a lot and look bad and glitched. But when she stands still, she looks good when they are static. And she is moving the back legs. You can stay very easy to rig using the method that I did, but I didn't manage to do the frontal legs. They would stretch. So I tried but failed. This is the Saya, one of the heroes of the Fairies. I added her strat model. She looks the same in battle but moves better because she's moving all her legs there. Okay, and then we have Fairy Queen, the leader of the faction. And when I tried doing her in the small original size, where she would be way smaller than this soldier, she looked horribly glitched, much more glitched than Prince Rallis of the Lanayur province. I decided to remake her into the same size as an ordinary soldier, and now she looks good. She's a bit big on the map. She's really small in battle, but I thought it was fine to have her like this on the map. The strat model doesn't need to have the same size. Okay, and then we have one of the most impressive giants in the game. I believe it is the most impressive. It's the Essence of Tarm, custom hero, dear version of the market tree of Labrynna, but unlike the market tree, it looks totally perfect when it moves. I managed to make it move perfectly on the map. Somehow it doesn't even stretch like the market tree did. So I didn't need to make the legs static like I did with the Saya here and the King Dodungo hero, used by the wildlife until the Gorons have taken the area, and then later by the Gorons. There are 2 static giants in the game currently, and there are 2 that look good. No, there are 3 that look good. One is the market tree of Labrynna that we saw, which stretches a bit, and then this one doesn't even stretch, which is very impressive. I thought it was very impressive, so I was very happy with this strat model. Very unique giant hero. Unlike the 2-leg ones, do not end up with the stuff under the ground. Maybe the pointy bits are a bit underground, but it doesn't matter. I thought it looked good. This giant hero of the fairies. Then the generic generals took a lot of time to do. This is the generic general of the Fairies of Tarm. I was very happy with it. So unlike the others, it has this weird golden armor around most of her body, legs, the stomach, the upper body, the arms. It was very, very troublesome to add this strat model because either the armor wouldn't follow with the body, it would look glitched, or the body wouldn't move at all, and the armor would move instead. You either would have the armor move, and then the body would be static, or you would have the body move and the armor would be static and wouldn't move. And then when the arm moved, the armor would not move, so the arm would move out of the armor and such. So this model had two problems. First of all, the armor had too high polygon vertex count, so I needed to use a specific tool that I last used in March 2021, where I had to lower the polygon count. Otherwise, the model would crash when spawned, when loaded. I mean, when I start a campaign as the Fairies of Tarm or as anyone else, the game would crash on the loading screen, at the loading screen. Because she was too high poly, same with Majora and one of the generals there, and one of the units. So all of these models needed to be lowered using a tool that I bought and paid for. I believe I paid about $34 or something for it. Okay, so that was needed, and then when she worked, when I could load her, I had that other problem with the armor and the body. And the only way to prevent that issue was to rig her from scratch, which took more than 13 hours. I believe I spent an entire day to first. I believe I spent about 13 hours, 8 to 13 hours rigging her, and then she had a lot of glitches and issues with the texture and such, and yeah, it took 1 to 2 days before I had fixed all those issues. So this model took the most work out of all the strat models in the game, and even if you count the Warcraft models or the Wrath of the Norsemen models, this model was the worst of all of them, because you had to rig her from scratch to get the body and the armor to work, and then you had to lower the polygon count, and then there is an issue with the texture that made it look horrible, so I needed to do a lot of detailed, I believe, I needed to fix the model in the MS-3D program and change details with the vertices, and it took forever, 1 to 2 days, at least an entire day and night. I mean, I was very exhausted after that. I didn't want to do another one like that. I thought it was a lot of annoying, tedious modding work to do this one. With the others, it was a fast matter for the most part. The Majora hero, Majora himself, and a general of Majora and one of the soldiers needed me to lower the polygon count, otherwise they would crash and loading the game and starting the game as Majora or anyone else. So that issue was true for them as well, which needed me to fix that by lowering the model, the vertex count in a tool, which took an hour or two. But I didn't need to rig it from scratch like this model, and I certainly didn't need to fix the texture by adjusting the vertices in detail over and over again until I finally made it. So this model, unlike the others, they're really tedious to do. So I'm very happy with it. Unfortunately, in battle, she's not using this model. And there is a model like this in battle, but she has a bug between her legs. There is like an old glitch, and making it like a spear point down, like a very odd texture glitch. And it's similar to the glitch that I spent a day or so fixing. But the problem is that the battle model is more annoying to fix than the strat model, because for some reason when I tried to fix it, it just became a mess when I loaded the battle. So the battle model is even worse so I haven't even tried to fix it since last year. But the strat model looks good as intended, and the battle model unfortunately doesn't look as good. This faction has strat models done, but you might could probably build the buildings that are required. So lesser data statue. We get priests from there, I'm not sure. Here we get a diplomat. Not sure. Should be agents for of all kinds except the assassin. I think we'll skip the agents, so we have a... Maybe I will check out this faction later and check all the agents. We have a new agent for the spies. They're using a new, I believe, wisp spies. They're using wisps as spies, sprites. Really cool strat model with 3 sprites in a strat model. There are like 3 sprites moving, and they move like in battles. It looks really cool when they move. It's certainly a model that I want to show in a video later. Also, they have a Mad Mystic merchant, I believe. They fit the best as merchants, I thought. And then they have the same diplomat as in the older versions. So the soldier and the diplomat are the same as in every version of this version of Hyrule since 2012. So since the first release by Undying Nephalim with a campaign in 2012, I believe we released the first version of Hyrule Total War, version 1.0. I believe we released that in... maybe it was 2.0. I believe 1.0 was just a custom battle only release in 2011 actually. Sorry. And then he released the first campaign version in September 2012. And that version had the same soldier we see here and the same diplomats as are in this mod. Still. So the new models are the heroes, the Fair Queen, Saya, the Scared, and the Essence of Tarm, and the General here. The one that required the most work for any strat model ever made. Okay, because I rigged her from scratch. Otherwise, her armor wouldn't work on the body, as I said. So I did the agents too. I added the spies. Wisp spy, that's really cool when it moves, and I added the Mad Mystics for the merchants. We kept the diplomat already there in the game, and I replaced the 4.6 spy and the 4.6 merchant. And then I added I believe I don't remember, a Herald of Seasons, I believe, model as their priest, replacing the old priest. So they have a new priest model too that fit this style. And there is the Phantoms of Tarm if I want to add an assassin later, but for now they do not have an assassin. I didn't do that model because I may need a slot for other factions. We'll see if I still have room left when I'm done with all the other strat models for the factions that do not have new strat models for the generals and the heroes yet. Then I might add the assassin. Okay, so this is the one I'm the most proud of because it took the most tedious work to do. Okay, this one is the one that is the most odd that I believe I'm proud of how this one can walk like this on the map without looking wild. But I put way more effort into this one, so this is still my favorite, but this one is the second one because it looks so good. The mockery of Labrynna is cool too, but it did stretch a bit, which is a minus, I believe. Okay, let's end the turn. We have the Stalfos. So when you conquer, I believe, Kanokiro with the Stalfos, No, Kakariko actually. Then I believe that Beetle and oh fuck, I might have forgotten to add what was needed for Beetle. This is the Necromancer. It's bugged currently. Something became off there. It wasn't bugged previously. I added the entries for the general, but I think I fucked up with this faction. Forgot that I had added Dito, I think. I need to fix that. So we have the soldier. This is the old soldier band. The Nephalim, the skeleton, and then we have the Sky Lord, the old general. Generals look like this. Then we have a unique necromancer that is bugged now. It's using the same model as the underground entrance, which isn't intended. So I need to fix that, unfortunately. It was fixed previously, I probably fucked up today. So I believe if you download the mod it will look good. I could be wrong, but I think it would. Maybe it's because I'm using Hot City. I'm not sure. But when you could take Kakariko as Stalfos, then one turn later you get, I believe, Dead Hand and Dito with strat-models on the map. And General Caso, Lord Caso, he should also have his unique model. But he doesn't have that here, so the Stalfos are bugged now. No idea. I fucked up somewhere. I will need to fix this faction. That sucked. They won't be a part of the video. The Stalfos models will be... I will take a look at the faction later. They have unique scripts anyway. We'll take a separate look at the Fairies of Tarm, their agents, and the Stalfos undead. Okay, we have the Shrika assassins. Then we can return control to the AI for the Stalfos and to the Fairies. Control Stalfos and control Fairy. Okay. Then we have the Shrika. So they have the same agents as previously, but I believe I did some changes there too. This is their spy. I believe I decided to use the same spy as for the Kingdom of Hyrule, the old Kingdom of Hyrule spy. It's used by the Shrika now. There is a Shrika. They have the old soldier, and the Nephalim, the original creator of the Hyrule Total War mod. We have a new model, hero, custom hero for Asrimilli. He has this model on the map and in battle. Then we have Impa Sage of Shadows. In the current release, she will also spawn for the Kingdom of Hyrule. I believe 1 or 2 or 3 turns after you start the campaign as them, if you do not play others. Or if you do not play the Shrika as well. If you only play the Kingdom of Hyrule, you will get her to spawn for the Kingdom of Hyrule. Otherwise, she will spawn for the Shrika. She has this strat model on the map. It will be made unique for this faction, the Shrika, later. And then we have Lord Aghanim the Saint, the faction leader of the Shrika, a unique strat model. And battle model, of course. And we have Bongo, unique model for the Shrika as well. When she dies, you get... doesn't matter if you hold... in the past, when you needed to... I believe if you held Kakariko and Bongo died, then she would spawn 1 turn later as Bongo, a smaller giant in the game. Like Gerudo and Majora, but smaller. And Rutuludi like them, but smaller. But in the latest release, I believe I changed stuff because usually they would lose Kakariko at the same time they lost Bongo, so that's why I changed the script. So now if Bongo dies, she will immediately spawn as Bongo the next turn. You don't need to even hold the settlement. She will still spawn. So if you kill Bongo in the campaign now, as another faction, if you play another faction and kill Bongo, the AI is controlling Bongo, then she will spawn 1 turn later as Bongo. If you play the Shrika, that will also happen. You don't need to hold Kakariko anymore. Bongo Bongo is the better hero. He's a smaller giant, while it is really effective on the map, while Bongo here is just a random humanoid hero. But she has unique models for both her forms. They look like Bongo here and Bongo Bongo when she spawns as Bongo Bongo. That's the heroes for the Freak. They also have agents. They are either from the 4.6 Hyrule Total War game, or they are the old Hylian heroes, or agents I mean. Then we have the forces of the Twilight under Queen Midna. Fortunately I haven't done new agents for them yet, or their heroes and such, but I have done a new general last year, because I wanted them to have their general on the map, and I didn't really get to their heroes before I took a pause and went to do the Total War models instead. This is the old general, the Twilight Infantry general. It's been in the mod forever. Then we have the new generic general, female general. This is like either a male or a construct. This is the female general of the forces of the Twilight. Really good model, same as in battle. And currently the heroes have the same model. At least if you lead the army as a general, they will have this model, so you can differentiate the soldiers from the generals from the soldiers, and if you lead the army as a hero, they will still have this model. Heroes are still to be done. This faction only has 2 heroes that are unique. Queen Midna herself, and the hero Una here, giant hero. Smaller giant that is pretty good in battle. Okay, so I only did the general. She is pretty cool, so still worth previewing her. Then we have the forces of the Twilight under Prince Sant here. They still have yet to do their heroes. They have a lot of heroes. Unlike the other faction, they have their soldier here. Same soldier as the other faction with a different skin. Then they have their general, which is also the new general. So I added a specific Santa skin for them. They existed already for the battle model, so I made it for the strat model. I had to change some stuff. So yeah, they have a new general strat model on the map, same as in battle. But generals like Lady Meady here and Prince Sant the Bloody, or the, I believe, generic general is this general, yeah. Okay, but these generals, Lady Meady and Sant, are still to be done. And then if you leave this area, then one turn later you will have Argrok the Dragon and Dark Onuk spawn, and they too lack models currently, and all the pet of Sant will also spawn as a general, and he lacks a model too. So the generals are still to be done. As for the agents of the Twilight faction, I believe they had a original priest model and an original diplomat model by Undying Nephalim that are still in use. I don't think they had unique Sant colors for them. They might need to make alternate skins for the agents there, I don't know. Or we'll use a different model for Sant, so they are not using the wrong skins. Okay, but there exists a unique priest model and a unique diplomat model, and I believe I'm using them for the merchants and assassins and merchants, assassins, priests, diplomats, and spies. So if they have all the agents, they are using the same 2 models. for many different roles. So this faction needs at least a new a new spy, a new assassin, and a new I believe merchant maybe. And I already know what I will use for the assassin. There is a unit for the Sand faction named Shadow Assassins that I will use for the assassins. But for the rest we'll see. Same with the Midnight faction. So this is the Forces of the Twilight are unfinished. I still did the general, so it was still worth previewing. So the Order of the Visrobe. It's turn 4, they haven't spawned their heroes yet. At least not all of them. Some of them seem to have spawned. No, I'm wrong. If I'm playing as them, they spawn immediately, I believe. If the AI is playing as them, they spawn on turn 5. They have the old general, old soldier, by Undying Nephalim here. Then we have a new model of Hylia, false goddess. Is their leader, their unofficial leader. Their official leader is Nostrum, and she is like their secret leader. Unfortunately, she's walking, she's not sitting in the chair because she's using walking animations for the strat-models, but I still managed to add the chair. It was very close that it wouldn't be added. It didn't work in the beginning. I managed to somehow get it to work. So she looks pretty cool, even if she's not sitting in the chair. I also had a heavy version of her in the files, I believe, where she's not using this mask. Here she would throw her face. But I decided to use this one that looks exactly like in battle. The reason she didn't use her face in earlier versions of the strat model is because I didn't think she would work with the chair and everything. She had pretty high polygon vertex count. So I tried doing her without the chair and with the chair without the helmet and such. In the end, I managed to add everything. Her weapon, her chair, her helmet, and she doesn't look bad. She looked more attractive without the helmet or mask. It's a mask actually, but I wanted her to look exactly like in battle. There is an alternate model in the files if you want it instead, where she shows her face. Okay, it's only for the map now. We have Sia the mage, she spawns late game I think. She's a custom hero of the Order of the Visrobe, the unique model. And in the Hyrule story campaign she will be Lana the mage instead in battle, with a different bodyguard. Here she has a bodyguard of illusionists, infantry I believe. And in the Hyrule story campaign when she is Lana in battle, she has a bodyguard of I believe armored acolytes, which are the 4.6 acolytes, which have armor. This is the old acolytes, that's why I named them. I kept the name acolytes, and then the other ones are the armored acolytes. Okay, but Lana doesn't have her own model on the map. Instead she's using Sia on the map in that campaign too. Because Lana has a 4.6 model with very high polygon count. Vertex polygon count, so I used the same model for her. On the map in both campaigns we have Karok, the son of Nostrum and the heir of the faction. Because Nostrum is the official heir, so this the official leader. This is the official heir. Hylia is the unofficial leader, and Sia is one of the high-ranking characters or generals there. Karok doesn't have any magic skills, he is without magic. Then we have leader Nostrum. I believe on turn 5 they get Vigaro, their capital. It's held by the Kingdom of Hyrule. Prior to that, the heroes spawn on turn 4, I was wrong. And then they get the area on turn 5. So Nostrum, but if you play the Hyrule story campaign, then you play as the Order of the Visrobe, they will spawn early of course, but if you play another faction in the Hyrule story campaign, then they order to Viscera will spawn late game, very late game. Okay, Nostrum is the father of Karok, and he has, unlike Nostrum, he has magic skills. Okay, then we have, of course, soldiers here. We have the priest model, the diplomat model, all using all models by Undying Nephalim. And should be a unique general too that we want to check. We have to end turn now and wait until they spawn a general. Okay, River Sora. They spawn on different places close to rivers in this game. Here we have a generic general, which is new. I made the general. They are similar in size to King Farkas of the Sora. See that the old soldier look like this, used by both the generals, the soldiers and the heroes, the older versions, prior to July 31st, 2021. And I added a generic general. It looks exactly like the generals in battle. They are huge. They are smaller than the Gorons, but as big as King Farkas of the Sora. Slightly smaller than the Goron generals. Really cool general, and if they lead the armies, they will take over, of course. Really cool faction and a cool general. More soldiers over here. Okay, so they spawn in different places. Here we have King Farkas. He spawns in the early game if you place them. In the Freeform campaign, I believe they spawn early, but in the Hyrule story campaign he might spawn late game. At least turn 15, 16 or something. So he is pretty much the same type of character as the generals. He's a river knight, as they're called in battle, but he's a unique river knight. The general is just using a river knight model, same as the generals of the battles. And there is a unit called River Knights which is using that model too. So they are used by the generals and by a certain elite unit. But King Sarusef here of the River Sora is a unique River Knight with golden armor and shield. Otherwise the same size and the same type of unit, just a unique one. So he's the king, but he's not really the one leading the faction. Maybe he's supposed to lead a faction, but he's not bright enough. So then we have a general here. This model, we have a custom general too, but he has worse stats. That's why the other general is leading. If you move this general out, he has a unique model. It's Gerudo Khan, the Berserker, River Sora. Long range unit. He has a bodyguard of Cyclops Q, which is his type of model or unit. He is a Cyclops Q himself. He's the unique one. He's like a berserker of the River Sora. They are very much a Viking faction, the form of fishmen. They are like the Viking faction, the River Sora of this mod. And yeah, he has a unique model, pretty big, bigger than normal humans, etc., but smaller than the River Knights. And they have two more heroes, I believe. They have Archduke Nelith. He's like their version of Advisor Saline of the Sora. Here he is an Oocca Sora general. She is a different breed of Sora. I believe that maybe the Sora experimented on the Ooctus and created this breed or something. I'm not entirely sure. He has his own model. Then we have Princess Oocca, the real leader of the faction. She is brighter than her father. She has her own unique model too. Ordinary human size character. Princess Oocca, the River Sora. I've added a new general and new hero models, no new agents. But they are using the old Sora domain diplomat. It's their diplomat. So the Sub-Ocean minor faction, they use this model for their soldiers, an old model by Undying Nephalim, still in use. Then they have a green variant of this model, same model but green with the same weapon. Sub-Ocean excavator model, their worst infantry unit. They don't have many. They have one better, the All Knights, but this is used as their soldier and the green one for their general. Then they have their hero, Princess, I believe at least Rosa the Harsh. I don't know if she's a princess. She has a unique model. Can't move closer. There's a shield, unique like ears. This is a female hero of the Sub-Ocean, their only hero. This is the only new strat model for them. And the Oocca, as I said earlier in the video, I did make one for the Princess Oocca. It was a 4.6 model, too demanding for the mod. I didn't bother to lower the vertex count, so she is not usable and is not in the game. It's a strat model. We have the old soldier model here. It's a Oocca hunter unit. The old Hyrule Total War game, they look like this. It's just an ordinary Oocca hunter unit. Then we have the generals, all the generals, heroes or near generals. We have this model, new general model. This mad, the leather armor or cloth armor, both leather and cloth maybe. So more heavily armored than the other. Okay, so new model for their generals. Then we have the Huskus Remnants. Fan-made faction by Undying Nephalim. The only fan-made one that he made, the one that weren't in any of the official games. Okay. Bunch of mantids. So we have the old soldier model here. We're in every version of Hyrule Total War. Until the 4.6 or the 4.0 remakes. These are the soldiers, they are smaller than the generals. And then we have the general model that I made. It's based on the priestess cast. Female like priestesses of the Huskus. And it's bigger than the other. And the lead arm is they will be used instead of the soldier. They look more elite. Then we have hero, Palagard the hero, or Palagard, giant, smaller giant of the Huskus Remnants. Remade this model. First they were too big and looked bugged. Some of their feet below ground and such, and the arms were stretching too much. Now they look good. So this is their, like one of their heroes. There is a statue in their capital. Their only city, by the way, of this guy. So he's a hero in Nep's lore of the faction. Then we have their Empress. Just named the Empress. Or Empress Tamako the Honest. Her legs are a bit weird, but can you do? She looked alright when she moved anyway. She didn't look as good as Palagard, because Palagard has wider feet. She ended up looking better. The Empress still looks good in my opinion, even if her arms are a little bit too long. Yeah, they have unique strat models. general. The unique, I believe a unique general and generic general for all the generic generals. And then we have they look bad in the forest when they go down on like this, but outside of the forest they look good. Okay, couldn't fix it with the forest. All the four-legged creatures look bad in the forest. The animations are made for the two-legged generals. Okay, so I made a general and the two heroes for the Huskus remnants. It's for the Horonians. Have this old wait a second. Had this old soldier by Undying Nephalim, used by older soldiers, based on the Horon soldier unit. And out of two soldier units, they have the Horon mystics as well. Then we have this is soldier model 2. Then we have the unique hero Majora the Horse, but he is just a Horon soldier model 2. They made a unit out of his model, so he looks the same, but unlike the soldier, this is an actual custom hero model. Because they have a new general model. So all the generals of the wait a second. I believe they should have a Horon Mystic general. I think I fucked up with this one too. Tonight. It's night time now. Clock is, I believe, 3:34 in the morning Swedish time. Okay, but anyway, so I did a new Horon Mystic general, generic general for this faction. So they used the Horon soldier as their soldier, and Majora the Horse has his own unique Horon soldier general model. Then there is a Horon Mystic general. I didn't do one for I believe the Tree of Horon, because it's not a general, it's a unit. If it was a general, it would be aggressive and start conquering neighbors and stuff like the others do, like the Oocca tree do for the Kokiri, or the Tree of Labrynna for Labrynna. I didn't want that, so it's just a unit. That means we can't have a unique strat model for it. However, I did add the generic general models. It should be a Horon Mystic and not a Horon Soldier. But when I fix the text, see it's written Majora the Horse here in two places, in the description and under the model. Previously, I believe under the model it would be written something about a number. And when I fixed that, somehow the model stopped being used. Same with the Stalfos ones, because I didn't move over all the heroes. I forgot that I had more than one hero. Forgot that I had done the general too. I will need to fix. We'll need to look into that and fix the Stalfos and the Horonians. They are currently not as they should. Okay. Let's give back control to Horon to the AI. Now we're on the Church of Majora faction. They have two new heroes, but hero models, and then they have a generic general, and they have all their agents remade except the diplomat, which is in their previous versions since 2019. I believe that Church of Majora had the same Majora Disciple model in use by all their agents and all their generals and heroes. They remade that, so they have a new soldier. This is their current soldier model, using a Majora mask model. Cool model. And they had, I believe, the lower parts of the model with that tool, otherwise it was too demanding. The Majora models were pretty demanding. They have this soldier model now instead of the model in use still by the diplomat, which was pretty much the the Majora like believers, the female model. Okay. We have this soldier for all the soldiers, and we have a generic general. I actually remade at least a few times. I did fix the polygon count here too, using the tool, and then I believe it had a problem with being too big, so the legs were beneath the ground. It was the battle model is slightly bigger than a normal human, but I resized the strat model to fit the map. So it's smaller here than it was originally, and it looks good. This is the soldier, and this is the general. When this model leads an army, we'll be using this model. That looks pretty cool. And then they should have Zelda too. I clicked on the wrong hero. They have this Zelda. Cultist Majora Zelda 3. Okay, so we have the Majora version of Zelda 3 with her own custom model. She was a Majora, I believe a Patreon only bonus character, just like the other one, but unlike the other one, felt she needed her own model on the map, as she is one of very few heroes of the Majora faction. She is still Zelda 3, but I named her Majora Zelda the Harsh. She's also the faction leader. The official leader. While Majora is like the unofficial leader, but it's kind of unofficial that the god is the true leader. The church, she's like the leader out of the non-gods, so to speak. So we have a soldier, we have a general, and we have this Zelda. And both of these required me to lower the polygon count in the tool. This one even needed to be resized. Okay, then we have Majora himself, the god. Used to be even bigger, but decided to make him smaller. He's still the biggest hero in the game. He'll continue to be that. Because, yeah, he doesn't need to be bigger, but he needs to be the biggest one. He's Majora, God, Dark God Majora. Okay, he looks good when he moves too. He didn't have much of an animation, only 2 legs, so it was fine. Unlike the Essence of Tarm that had like 4 legs and still looked good. So I think the Essence of Tarm is even more impressive, but this one required more work. I had to lower this guy in the polygon count program tool. I needed to lower the vertex count on this model, otherwise it would crash just like the other 2 here. So we have a new model for Majora himself, and we have a new model for Zelda, and a new model for the general, and even the soldier in this case. So I didn't want to use that diplomat model for the soldier. I'm still using it for the diplomat, the only humanoid model, the only one that is like a human with a Majora mask, female human with a Majora mask. So this faction also has agents. We'll probably take a look at later. You have the same model used for every strat model previously as their diplomat. So the diplomat is old, at least from 2019. Old. Majora wasn't a faction in the earlier versions of the game. The Church of Majora was a new faction in my submod, released first in 2019 during the summer. And in every release up until the latest one from last summer, I believe that they used the same model for every strat model. So the Disciples of Majora, that's the, well, they used to be the priest, but now it's the diplomat only. They are still called that in the battles. Then they have, of course, an assassin that is unique. They have a spy that is unique. A merchant that is unique. And merchant, they have a spy, an assassin, and a priest too, that is unique. So I made new agents for every agent except the diplomat, which used the old model. And I did the heroes and the soldiers and the generals. So they have everything remade except one model for the diplomat. We won't take a look at that now. I am playing a Majora campaign. I'm about 34 turns into the campaign, the older version of the mod. So I played a bit there, played for at least, I believe I played 4 episodes or 5 on YouTube, probably 4. The first one was 4 hours long, and the others at least 1.5 hours to 3 hours long. And if I'm gonna replay everything, well, then we will have the new strat-models. I probably want to do that, but that means I need to replay what I have already done, which is a little bit boring. Maybe I will play those parts off screen and then start recording when I'm back where I am. I will try to redo everything I've already done in the campaign. I believe I conquered most of Horon province, but they are not defeated. They have about 1 or 2 areas left. We believe the rebels hold the Nordonian area, Timberfell, and then where there are Nordonian rebels, it's still held by rebels, and then there is 1 area or 2, I believe 1 area in the Gerudo lands held by Ordona. We've taken all the Nordonian lands, but they still hold an area in the Gerudo territory. If I replay it, things may evolve differently because the AI in Medieval Total War Kingdoms and its mods act differently each time you restart a campaign. But yeah, we're very likely to restart the Gerudo campaign from scratch and the Majora campaign from scratch. I said wrongly Gerudo there, but I have a Gerudo campaign 2 going on. We're very likely to restart the Majora campaign and use the one with all these cool strat-models instead, and probably restart the Gerudo campaign 2, because even though I've done a lot in the Gerudo campaign, it's a Hyrule story campaign with locked alliances and the Oocca OP, and I've destroyed many factions already. I want to restart it using probably the free alliances campaign. It works better because otherwise you get attacked by enemies, I mean by allies, and then you are forced back into an alliance one time later, and then they attack again, and then that happens again, and then it continues like that forever, unless you take control of them and play them yourself. So it's better to play the free alliances campaign where they can attack and won't be forced back into an alliance. So we'll do that later, but the problem is also excuse me, that the problem is that allies in this game almost never help each other. I might redo the alliances a bit and add a new AI on the map so they will actually help each other. We will see. It would be more fun if I play the faction and they are backed up by their allies. Okay, but we'll see. Anyway, I will most likely restart this campaign and the Gerudo campaign. Gerudo campaign had come quite far. I had conquered Hyrule's capital and such. It sucks starting all over, but I might have to do it. Also, we have the new strat-models in that campaign too that I would want to see in the campaign when I play it. The Labrynna regime, they also have new strat-models, and it's a shame that I won't be able to use them. If I add them to the ongoing campaign, I will mess it up, then it won't be able to load. And if I restart, that's 79 turns. It would take forever to replay, 34 episodes compared to in the Majora campaign where I only have 4 episodes. It's easier to replay what I've done in the Majora campaign without trouble. It won't take that long to do. The Gerudo campaign, I've at least done 12 episodes there, so it's a bit more to replay. Even though it's about the same turn number, 34, the turns were way longer. I did more stuff during the turns, but we'll see if I replay that or not. But I kind of want to play it with the new strat models. We'll see. I won't replay the Labrynna campaign because I've played too much in it. I will continue the old version of the mod in the Labrynna campaign. But with Majora we will most likely restart the campaign, so you can see the rest of the strat-models too when I restart the campaign. Okay. So they have new agents, but we won't see them now. I believe they use a mask of Majora as their merchant, but with the arms removed, so only the mask part. It made sense for the merchant, and then they have a spy. I believe their spy is the Seekers, Majora Seekers, Eyes of Majora. They made sense to be the spy. And they have a Eye of Majora bodyguard, but they are actually huge in battle, so they didn't make sense as the spies. They are used as assassins instead. They are small on the map because I wanted them to look good. I could probably have made them about the same size as Majora, slightly smaller of course, like in battle, but almost the same as Majora. But it's just an assassin, so I decided to make them to look better when they attack a unit if they are the same size. So they are a very miniature version of the Eyes of Majora. Then we have the only Twilight agent yet, the Avatar of Majora, used as their priests, the Majora priest. I believe the Twilight faction has their own priest model. They don't need the Avatars of Majora as priests, but I don't know. So they have a unique diplomat and a unique priest. One of them, the Sand faction, will get a unique assassin for sure. But Avatar of Majora model could either be their new priest, and we could use their current priest for something else, or the Avatar of Majora model could be the assassin of the Midna faction. Maybe. I think they will be the assassin of the Midna faction, so we'll reuse that model as an assassin for the Midna faction. That would make sense. While Sand will have a different assassin. Okay, and yeah, that's how I think about that. Let's end the turn. I believe I missed something. So the Stalfos couldn't be viewed because of a bug, and the Horonian general couldn't be viewed either because of a bug. Let's see. Offer could be accepted. Yeah, we had the Visceral. We need to check their general. Not sure if there were anyone else. Gerudo, nothing to see there. So we could conquer the area of Dodongo's Cavern to get the King Dodongo strat model, but I think it's unnecessary. If we play the Gorons in the future, we will see it, or if we play this version of the mod, maybe we will see it as the AI. Don't need to see the King Dodongo now. Sora's Domain or Sora in this mod. Don't need to check them anymore. We've checked all their generals. Same with the Lanayur province. The Odonna province, I mean. We need to check Labrynna. Just like the Odonna province, they can hire Airshade Mercenary. They have a they are closer to the general. She's in Labrynna's lands. So I was also very happy with this tree, even though one of the legs stretch a bit, maybe two of them. Okay, general. So in Ambi, here we can hire Airshade Mercenary in this area, close next to Symmetry, one of their cities. Hire her. Airshade, the mercenary, and as I said, if Odonna go here and hire her, she will also have this unique strat model for Odonna province. Also, she has a bodyguard of Palace Watch, I believe, Labrynnian Palace Watch, if you play the Labrynna Theme. If you play the Oduna Province, I believe she will have Hylian Infantry instead, or Hyrulean Knights. Probably Hyrulean Knights, could be Hylian Infantry. She has the same model in battle and on the map. If you play the Kingdom of Hyrule and hire her over here, then she can have Hylian Infantry or Hyrulean Knights as bodyguard. She won't have a unique strat model if you play the Kingdom of Hyrule. There is no room for that. So she's available as a general. Hire her in this area as a mercenary for the Labrynna Theme, the Oduna Province and the Kingdom of Hyrule. But only the Oduna Province and the Labrynna Theme have the strat model. The Kingdom of Hyrule has her in battle too. The Hylian bodyguard. Okay. Freaka again. We don't need to check Bongo. We'll probably take a closer look at this faction later. They have a unique script. Same with the Twilight faction. I wanted to play a shorter campaign with them, but I don't want to play them unless all their strat models are done. So we need to do the Midna faction. We need to do Midna and Una before checking the faction, and probably do some agents too. But with the Sand faction there are more agents to do. So if you play Midna, I believe there are unique scripts, 2 unique scripts. If you lose against Sand, there's 1 unique script, and if you win the war, there's another one. The one where you win is the same for both factions. You can open the portal to Hyrule, you can take your armies to Hyrule, and you get access to the units of the other faction, and you can also hire all the agents. Before you have opened the portal, you can't get any of the agents, or maybe you can get merchants and priests, maybe even spies, but you can't get diplomats, because that would affect the war with Sand negatively. They made peace and never did anything in the campaign. Okay, and then I believe they have scripts, like for example you hold all of these areas at the start, but if I believe the Midna faction, if she wins the war, as I said, she gets access to a bunch of stuff and can open a portal and go to Hyrule. If she loses the war, then the armies will be available to Sand to use, but Midna will turn into Imp Midna and spawn in Hyrule, and then you get to play as Imp Midna and try to assemble a mercenary army. You can bring back to the Twilight Realm to fight Sand and take back your throne. If you play as Sand and lose the war, then you just lose the campaign. But if you win the war, you can take Sand's armies to Hyrule instead. And if you play any other faction, then the Sand faction will spawn with armies in Limas. It's pretty cool. Yeah, both of these factions are unfinished. So the Order of the Visrobe have now gotten Yarrow, their capital, from the Kingdom of Hyrule in exchange for being their allies. And this is the model I used for their general in the current release. The old Hylia model, I thought it was cool. It's also used as an officer in battle for all of their armies, which will be kept. They will remove her as the general. Instead, the general of this faction will become the same general as in battles. Another of these, but more different detail. I believe he's yellow with some other details. So we will have a Visrobe general instead of this one. I will keep this one in the files, of course, but I want the same general on the map as in battle for all the factions. That's why I need to change this. Didn't like the Visrobe strat-models, that's why I used this one instead, but change my mind, I will return it to the Visra General. So yeah, they have this one for now. I thought it made sense, it was similar to the soldier. It looked different. We're done with the River Sora. The Stabrosians, we're done with them too. Okay, same with the Oocca. The Husky's remnants. We're back on Majora. Nothing more to see there. I believe this concludes the preview of the strat-models. So the Horonians couldn't be watched and or viewed, and same with the Stalfos. They had some issues they will need to fix immediately, and the Order of the Visra will get a different general. Okay, and just to take a look at the map again, total file. This is the map, and just for the clarification of it, in the old mod I believe that the Order of the Visra spawned late game. They would never spawn early game, so that's new for this sub-mod. I believe the starting positions of the Lanier province are different. They have one more area to start. They hold Pinnacle Cove as at the start. The old versions they held only Rutland and their capital Hyrule. The Horons they hold Gorfalgaru at start. The old versions, the rebels held Gorfalgaru, but they never took it for some reason. They ignored the area, so I had to add it to them. The Oocca are new for this for this sub-mod, Classic Ultimate. They were in custom battle with like 2 units, but yeah, you needed to edit a file to enable them. In this mod, of course, they are a fully fledged faction with a unique custom settlement, unique general strat model, and shred with their priest and other agents. Will make new ones for their spies and assassins, I believe. But yeah, they are a new faction for this sub-mod in the campaign, and I believe that the Huronians start with another area compared to in older versions. They had just Huron in the older version, now they got Holy too. And the Toki start with both their villages. In the old versions they started with just one, the South Toki village, I believe. And the Lyssalfos have way more areas at the start because they were underpowered. In this recent version I've increased their morale, so their troops will do slightly better in battle now compared to when I played the game in 2021. I'm still playing the Labrynna campaign, and they suck in that version. They have very bad morale. Now their morale should be better for most of their units. Okay, the Sora has a starting area, Fort of Wings, because when they didn't have a starting area they spawned here and took Yugal all the time, and then held it as their own. I prefer they started with an area that fit them better, so that Yugal can be held by the Dig Scrubs. The problem now for the Dig Scrubs is that the Husky's remnants have the heroes Palagard and the Empress, and unlike in the older versions they are generals here, you know, all the heroes, giant heroes, etc., they are generals, with the exception of the Market Tree of Huron, I believe. So heroes on the map are very overpowered. That's why the Huskies usually take areas with the Dig Scrubs, preventing the Dig Scrubs from getting the entire area. Okay, Gerudo has some different starting positions, same with the Moblins and the Runa province. The Runa province needed all their areas except one to face off against many factions. They're surrounded by enemies. They have the Moblins, the Church of Majora, the King of Pecan, and they have the Lyssalfos, they have the Dark Nuts, and they have the Gerudo. So even if there are some rebels between them and the Lyssalfos. Okay, and yeah, you can see. I believe that Stalfos weren't on the map until the very late game, and they crashed when they load. I believe they spawned at turn 275, so very late, and nobody would probably play that long anyway. And when they spawned, the game crashed. They were buggy. They've been fixed, of course. Now they have areas at the start. And Oocca, they spawn 2 in the old versions of the game. They spawn late game. They never spawned early unless you play this time. Same with the Visrobe faction, and yeah, the River Sora lacked starting areas. They spawned at about turn 15 or 16, then they spawned again at turn 30 or something. Scripts for the Sand faction didn't work. They wouldn't spawn in the campaign like intended, and the scripts for the Midden faction didn't work properly. I believe there were an older version where they did work, but then there were many older versions where they didn't work. Okay, the Kingdom of Kana, they spawned at a certain turn. That's the only unique feature for them. They are spawning faction like the Mongols or something, but they are not. I don't believe they are Horde, but they spawned at a certain turn, then played like an ordinary faction. They are cursed faction. They look like undead, but they are not undead. Curse makes them look like undead. Okay. So they spawn early in the freeform campaign and late game, like in the original Hyrule Total War, when you use the Hyrule story. I might have missed something, but thank you for watching, and see you in another video. I will probably start a new campaign. I might not finish an entire campaign. This version, you know, I have stuff that I will change in the game before starting a campaign. And when that's done, I believe that it's minor stuff I want to change before starting a campaign, and throwing off some factions that I did finish last year, but I don't really want to finish an entire campaign without finishing the other factions and their strat-models. So we'll see. I might start a campaign I might fix the Stalfos and the Huronians again, and then fix that general of the Order of the Visrobe, and then I might preview the Stalfos and some other unique factions of this mod that have unique scripts and such gameplay features. But I won't really play a serious campaign in this mod unless it's short. Maybe I will play a short campaign in this version, but I want all the other strat-models made before I start a new long campaign. So this version will most likely have either short campaigns or just preview videos, because I want to finish the rest of the strat-models. The game would look way better when all the strat-models are done for all the characters. The giant monsters are the ones that are a little bit tedious to do. Any humanoid should be easy to do, I just need to do it. Okay, so thank you for watching. This is Hyrule Total War Classic Ultimate, my summon for Undying Nephalim mod Hyrule Total War, based on the old version released in December 2014. And you have now seen my contributions to the mod from last year. 86 new strat models, and I fixed and nerfed the Oocca faction. They were overpowered in battle. Might still be overpowered, but they are weaker now. They can be killed. Previously they couldn't be killed really. They were very strong. Now they are much weaker. Can kill them, but they are still strong. And then I fixed the bug where you couldn't recruit the Horon-civilians. All of that are in the release. Changes that are not in the release currently would be the fixed the heroes' names. So if you hold your mouse on Malin here, for example, or Zelda 1, you will have a different text somewhere about a number. That's been fixed, but that also messed up the Stalfos and the Huronians. They look good in the release. I will need to fix them again here. And other changes that are not in the current release on Mod B would be the increased morale of the Lyssalfos units. Okay, thank you for watching.